I think people forget that people don't forget. One of my favorite quotes is, "That's how things become clear, all of the sudden, and then you realize how obvious they've been all along." Politics has to be the darkest game, the darkest industry I've ever seen. More snakes in the grass, more darkness, because what you're dealing with is not corporate structure, corporate hierarchy, economic factors, customers, clients, employees, etc. You're dealing with power. You're dealing with life and death. It's the ultimate game. And when you're dealing in power, you're dealing with money just the same. It's another level that capitalism and business just doesn't touch, which is why there's so many snakes in the grass. There's so much darkness, because it really is a matter of life and death. It really is a matter of world history. The significance is far greater than people getting richer and people getting poorer. It's people having access to healthcare. It's the ability to speak freely without being jailed. It's being on the right or wrong side of the long and ever evolving Pen 15 of the law, of the state, of the bureaucracy. It's world domination. It's the ultimate game. So there's lots of darkness there. And thus any person directly, indirectly, or loosely associated with it has to have their head on a swivel. And you have to be sharp all the time to everyone and everything. To see the truth, one must be completely void of any external influences, anything that could possibly push them one way or the other, any preconceived notion that comes to every policy, every individual, everything. And these politicians are so slick. Their game is the sell. Their game is to be charming, and they're so good at it. And it's just this massive manipulative marketing and branding exercise where the through line between almost all of them is money and power. And the further in I get, the further I realize how little of them there are that can actually be trusted. It's like the vast majority of them involved, loosely involved, on the fringe, are all, most of them get to a point where they realize that if they say the right things and go off the platform that they've built and the correct slogan at the right time and the right emotional manipulation, that they can sell you 8 things that are true and then 2 big lies that make them money. Just enough truth to keep you there and just enough lies to get them rich. Marketing and branding expert, social media guru, and big-time salesman Gary Vaynerchuk has a book and a sales concept called jab, 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 right hook, where you jab, 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 and then you knock them out. It's like a give, take. On the political right, the jab, 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 right hook scenario is like, do you love America? Do you love freedom? Do you hate socialism? Do you want to save America? Do you want to protect the children? Do you believe in Judeo-Christian values? Do you believe that America is the greatest nation, the light on the hill? And it's like, it's part of another sales tactic where you get somebody in the habit of saying yes. Do you want to grow your business? Do you want more money? Do you want to make sure that your business reaches customers that will benefit from your products and services? You get them to say yes in a straight line sales system like the Wolf of Wall Street used to talk about. You get them to say a consistent line of yeses, and then you close them. The political right is just as easily emotionally manipulated as the political left. It's just using a different set of yes questions. And because we're all so easily persuaded by marketing and branding and messaging and emotion, they utilize these exact same things and weaponize them against your greatest characteristics. But both parties, one way or the other, are almost always selling you different packages of the same thing. Think about it like the different types of meals that are on a menu at a Mexican restaurant. It's like a taco bowl, a burrito bowl, and a taco have different assemblies of the exact same ingredients presented a different way. American politics is almost exactly the same. It's like they're just giving you a little bit more beans with this one, a little bit more rice with this one, a little bit more spice with this one, packaged and distributed in a different way that allows you to be willing to relinquish more of your money, power, rights, and freedom. And intertwined in this massive right versus left, Republican versus Democrat, multi-century psyop is the through line of money and power. And so many people that have been corrupted via either blackmail or manipulation or just pure selling out to ultimately get to a point where they tell you 8 or 9 truths and then hit you with one lie. But the lie is a right hook. These people are looked at as saviors, as celebrities, as leaders, when they're supposed to be employees. They're idolized in such a way that they can say a lie right to your face. But if they tell you 8 things you want to hear, you're like, okay, I like them. We are being manipulated at a level that is seemingly beyond comprehension, where the level of being sucked in, the level of blindness is so pervasive that whenever any person comes in that might be real, that might say a thing that's slightly outside, that jeopardizes the structure, they are destroyed. And through the exact same marketing, branding, and messaging tactics that are used by the political left, the political right does that to destroy anybody that jeopardizes their message as well. And this is not supposed to be a moratorium on the right or the left. It's just about politics in general and politicians in general. And people think that when you sit on the political right, like I have up until very recently, it's like, well, this is the right side. It's like, yeah, more often than not it is, but you can't rest on the fact that it is and not be critical of the people and nefarious actors and dark money and dark power grabs that exist in this exact same structure. It's the best psyop ever to convince you that you're counter to the depth, to the deep state, to whoever else, while actually being that. It's such a next level Jedi mind trick that you have to be in so close to the pulse for such a long time to even realize that this is happening. It's basically got to a point where the only people that I trust are the people, the individuals, and even more specifically, the individual creators. Because if your socioeconomic status, your income sources, your social circle, your job, your career, and is tied and tethered to your supposed allegiance, to where any of those things could be punished or degraded due to wrongthink, I can't trust what you're saying. I can trust some of it, I can take it with a grain of salt, I can like you as a person, I can be friends with you, I can associate with you, I can be around you, but I can't trust that what you're saying is pure. And because of this reason, your political bullshit detector and your open and objective view of what's happening around you based on your own perspective is the only guiding light that you have. Your gut, your instinct, your intuition. Because at the end of every cause, it always seems like the bureaucracy wins and the people lose. The individual loses so much more often than they win. Because poison served to me in a fruity, tasty cocktail is no different than poison forced intravenously into my veins. They're both poison. We're being conditioned to accept mediocrity so long as it's served your way. But if it weren't for the independent thinker, the individual, the solo journalist, the independent journalist, none of these things would come to light. It's like when people say that social media is bad. Social media, it's a gift and a curse. It's yin and yang, it's duality, it's a principle of living. For all the bad that it causes, it creates an equivalent amount of good. But what the powers that be have recognized is that now that information can be outsourced, not necessarily to the large conglomerates, but down to the individuals, that the individual creator actually has an equivalent amount of collective influence as the big people. So you have to figure out a way to infiltrate even them. You have to figure out how to get the pseudo-celebrity, the sub-celebrity, the D-list celebrity, the non-celebrity to say what you're saying also, because they appear on the outside, they appear independent, they appear as to not be influenced, which is the greatest way to sell you, because they sell you in very small individual slices instead of one overarching top-down message. But in reality, many of them are persuaded and puppeteered by the exact same centralized messaging mechanism. They hide in plain sight. They realize that you trust us, and that's why they get us. And all that it takes to corrupt or influence an otherwise well-meaning soul is a little bit of money, a little bit of access, a little bit of power, a little bit of fame. I cannot reiterate this enough. You must trust almost no one, including me. Your voice is sold, marketed, and branded to you as being insignificant. It is by design to intentionally make you believe that little old you actually has power, influence, and a voice that really matters. You are constantly inundated with the belief that you are so small and you are so insignificant that you need to coalesce around a group, a tribe, the supposedly winning and or common message. But the best lesson always is to not listen to what they say, but to watch what they do. Why is that important? Why is it important to make you feel insignificant? Why is it important to change your individual voice? Why is influence over you, the seemingly insignificant individual, so important? It's because the collective power of an individual or a small group of independent-minded individuals that you agree on some things or most things is far more powerful than the next 10 institutions combined. It just doesn't seem that way, but it is. That's why they need you to believe what they sell you. I use this example often to illustrate the point and drive it home. Your influence, your power is outsized in the marketplace. And here's how I can prove it to you. There are thousands of different sources that a person can go for a recommendation on a restaurant. They can go to Yelp, they can go to Zagat, they can go to Google reviews, they can ask the concierge at their hotel, they could ask their social media following, they could read every book and every travel guide imaginable, they could read the reviews online on any multitude of websites about which restaurant is the best in town, they could read magazines, they could read books. They have more information readily available to them to review the contents of a restaurant than at any time in human history. They can look at photos of the menu. They can read the prices online. They can look at photos of the individual foods. But in this sea of information, this sea of inputs, if a person that you know, like, and trust tells you to go to this restaurant, you will completely ignore every single review, every book, every source, but the person you know, like, and trust. You will go to that restaurant because you trust them. This single-handedly proves the outside impact of the individual and what you can do to change the minds of people around you and people that you know, love, and care about. You need to be willing to have your own opinions no matter what, even if you stand alone. It is the only thing that will truly save your soul and your country. Don't be afraid to stand alone.